Welcome everyone. Welcome to Learn Cantonese, Mastering Conversation for Beginners. Today, we would analyze a conversation regarding to shopping. Okay, so let's start the Cantonese conversation. I'll do this in normal speed first, and then I'm going to go over the English version of this conversation. Afterwards, we'll read it together using some English alphabet representation of those words, and then we are going to break down these conversations sentence by sentence to analyze what is going on right here. Okay, so let's get started. 哇，好多人啊！今日唔係假期，但係點解呢度都係咁多人呢？因為有間新鋪頭開張，不如過去睇下好唔好？好，你睇下呢部相機真係好平噃。係啊，架相機真係好平。聽講呢架相機啲評價好好。好多人話架相機影啲相影得好好。我想要呢架，冇問題。有冇架新？我唔想要 demo 機。冇，我唔要啦。Okay, so let's go over as to what this conversation is just about. So Mr. Ho first said, wow, so many people. Today is not a holiday, but why is it so crowded? Then Mr. Lee replied, because there is a new shop just opened. Mr. Ho then said, how about go and take a look? Sure. And after some time, then Mr. Ho and Mr. Lee was looking at within the store, and Mr. Ho started, look at this. This camera is so cheap. Yeah, it is really expensive. I heard from a lot of people that it takes good pictures. So after a while, then Mr. Ho called the store clerk over, in which Mr. Ho said, I want this one. No problem. Do you have a new one? I don't want the demo. Nope. Well, I don't want it then. Okay, so let's follow me from word for word in the kanji version, the Cantonese version. Now, I hope you guys know who is Ho 先生 and Lei 先生 in the dialogue. And I would actually skip those. I'm just going to go through all of the conversation word for word. So just skip the pronouncing or saying Mr. Ho and Mr. Lee. Okay? So now let's get started. 話好多人啊！今日唔係假期，但係點解呢度都係咁多人呢？因為有間新鋪頭開張，不如過去睇下好唔好？好，你睇下呢部相機真係好平噃。係啊，架相機真係好平。聽講呢架相機 啲評價好好好多人話架相機影啲相影得好好。我想要呢架，冇問題。有冇架新？我唔想要 demo 機，冇，我唔要啦。Okay, so let's now go through each sentence to see what is going on. So the first sentence in Cantonese, it says 哇好多人啊. Well, wa is actually the same as in English, wow. It's a form of an emotional expression, and I'm guessing by now you should know all of the kanji that is in the next sentence. So as you know, ho means good, or and to means a lot, and yan means people, and again is an emotional expression again. So 好多 means a lot, because basically even though 多 in terms of isolated kanji it does mean a lot. However, when you say it, you actually it is the best if you add ho in right before it. So 好多 means a lot in Cantonese. Yan means people again. So in this sentence, it just means so many people. So in this sentence, 今日唔係假期. So we'll split this off into two kanjis. We'll analyze these by two kanjis because then it would make most sense. So if you look at the first two kanjis, 今日, that means today. 唔係in Cantonese means not, is not, where is not and hai is. So if you add those two together, it means is not, but it has to be in this order. 唔係假期 means holiday in Cantonese. 假期 holiday. "但係點解呢度都係咁多人呢?" Now, 但係 in Cantonese means but. 點解 in Cantonese means why. So 但係點解 in this sense in Cantonese means but why. 呢度 in Cantonese means here. 都係 so here 都係 means also is, where 都 means also in a sense in Cantonese. It is a bit different used, so it can't be directly translated, but in this case it worked kind of like also. Now 咁多人 le, well, le is a emotional expression of some sort. Now 咁多人, well, you already know 多人 means a lot of people, right? 咁 like the GUM pronunciation that I put in that kanji, it's more or less an emphasis on what is afterwards, which is many people, and it's one of those particles that you need to use, and I would actually describe it more thoroughly in other videos. Now, in English, it translates to because there is a new shop just opened. 因為 in Cantonese means because. 有 means to have. Now, 間, well, this word is for counting the number of shops and houses for in Cantonese. Like, let's say if I say 2 shops, I would say 兩間鋪頭. 3 shops, 三間鋪頭. However, if we just say there is a shop, in which I don't need to say there is one shop, there is a shop, we'll just neglect the one and said 有間鋪頭. Okay? Now, 鋪頭, you already know that means shop, right? Now, if you add 新 in before, 新 means new. So 新鋪頭 means new shop. The last 2 kanjis, 開張, that means opening, grand opening. And this is for new shops or new company in general. When they said they just opened, or if there's a grand opening, then you would say 開張. 不如過去睇下好唔好? This sentence means how about go and take a look. So the first 2 kanji, 不如, translated to how about. 過去 is going over there, where 去 means to go, right? And then 過 is basically in this situation means over there. 睇 is to see in Cantonese. 睇下 is also to see, but it's more or less just check it out when you translate it in this situation. So 睇 is to see, and 睇下 is more is just check it out. Now the last 3 kanji, 好唔好, is more or less a asking about good or not good. So it's asking for the other people's opinion. So in this case is Mr. Lee is asking Mr. Chan, want to go and take a look, good or no good. So it's asking either he wants to go or not go. That's what 好唔好 is all about. 你睇下呢部相機真係好平噃. In this sentence, it will be translated to look at this. This camera is so cheap. Now, 你睇下. So from the previous slide, you already know that 睇下 means to check it out. So it's telling the other person to go check it out. 呢部相機. Now, 相機 is camera. And li is more or less this. It can be something else in other situations, but in this case, it's li means this. Now, what's bo? Well, bo is again, it's same as what I talked about gan in a couple of slides before. It's a counting word for cameras. So it can be used for mobile phones and laptops, etc. When you have those electronics, you would use bo. So li bo相機 means this camera, and this is a count. Although this is a counting word, bo is a counting word, but one is omitted because it's already implied that we're looking at just one particular camera. 真係真係真係 in English means really. 好平好 means very or good. In this case, it's more leaning towards very. And 平 means cheap. So 好平 means very cheap or so cheap in what I put in my subtitle. Now 波 is just an emotional word added on to express the emotion of the particular person, and this would be more thoroughly explained in another lecture. 係啊，架相機真係好平。In English, it would be translated to, yeah, the camera is really inexpensive. So, 係啊，係 means yes, and is just a following word to express emotion. So overall, these two kind of united together is yeah, yeah. Now, 相機 you already know it's camera, and now I introduced a new word which it would probably confuse you, but I'm putting it here just to actually explain how diversified and there's some flexibility in using those counting words. So remember in the last slide I said camera is bo, right? Bo. Now this is also the counting word for camera, and this is called ga. Ga. Both of them are counting words, and both of them actually works for cameras. So now the other one, bo, works for mobile phones, cameras, and laptops. This one actually works for computers as well, TVs, cars, and etc. Again, counting, I would actually explain it more thoroughly in another lecture, but just take it for granted for now that there can be several counting words that you can use for even the same items that we're describing. Now again, you'd see 真係 in this one, like the last slide, it means really. Now 好平 means it's really cheap. Again, it's from the last slide. 聽講呢架相機啲評價好好。聽講 is, you already know, 聽 is to listen, and 講 means to say. 聽講 in Cantonese is used for heard. So
In this case, 聽講 means I heard in Cantonese. 呢架相機 we already talked about that, so I'm not gonna emphasize on it anymore. 啲評價好好. Now you know 好好 means very good. 評價 means review. Now D, as you see in the it's an English alphabet. We also have a kanji representation. We'll probably look at it later. But right now, for easiness, just put D. So what it is just an emphasis on a particular object or particular subject. Or even a use for a possessive type of sentences. So, but in this case, it is like, let's say, 相機啲評價, right? It's more or less translated to the camera's review. The camera's review, and D is actually used for that particular function, I would say. 好多人話架相機啲相影得好好。好多人, you know, 好多 means a lot, and 人 means people, so it's a lot of people when I say 好多人. 話 is said in Cantonese, so if you put all those four kanji together, it means a lot of people have said. 架相機, I'm just gonna skip that because we already talked about that almost 3 times now. 影啲相, no, 影 is take, and 相 is photos, and D I just talked about before. So 影啲相 means, well, let's backtrack a bit. 架相機影啲相. Actually, these kanjis put together means the camera, the ability to take picture, and then the last 4 kanjis, 影得好好 means the picture is being taken very well, or it takes good pictures, where 好好 means very good, and 影 you already know it's the verb for taking pictures, and 得 is basically a more or less a ending word, like it's more or less a description of what the action is. So 影得 means it's taked and it's very good. 我想要呢架. In English it means I want this one, and most of these kanjis we have covered already. So 我想要 is I want. You would know that you means need in Cantonese, and 想 means I want. So why can't we just say 我想呢架, right? No, we can't, because you is more or less a description of having this particular camera. Well, in this situation is the camera. So if we want to say I want this, or I want something. Now 想 means I think, so I want to think. So however, if I would say I want, I need the need after the word to think, right? So that's why we have, when put together, I want something, I would say 我想要. Now 呢架 is this particular camera, but we don't need to when we're just pointing towards a particular object. Let's say we would not need to say the object, but we would just say the counting word for it. So like let's say in this case, camera, we use 一部 or 一架to count cameras, right? So 部 actually works the same way. Like 我想要呢部 would actually be just as well as this sentence, which is 我想要呢架。有冇架新？我唔想要 demo 機。Okay, so in English it translates to "Do you have a new one?" I don't want the demo. So as you know, demo is more or less the same. We generally would use the word demo as well in Hong Kong. Now there is the Chinese version, but it would be quite weird if you say it rather than just say demo. So just leave it that way for demo. Now let's look at the first sentence. 有冇架新? "有冇" means do you have, right? And then 架 is the counting for the camera, and I've just talked about it in the last one that if you are actually referring to that particular camera already, you don't need to describe the camera. You just need to say the counting word for it. 新 means new. 我唔想要, "我" means me, 唔想, 要 means don't want. We already discussed that 想要 means want in the last lecture, last slide, sorry. And lastly, 我唔要啦 in English means I don't want it then. Or actually, let's backtrack a bit. We know that want means is actually 想要. Okay, so actually this sentence we could actually turn it into 我唔想要啦, in which 我 is me, 唔 means don't or no. Now 想要 and 要 can be intertwined, used in this case. So I don't need it anymore, or I don't want it anymore, right? So if I want to say I don't want it anymore, then I'll say 我唔想要. But if I say I don't need it, well, both actually works in this sentence. I would just say 我唔要. And then 啦 is more or less an emotional word that we use to express emotion, and I'll talk about in another lecture. So this is the end of the lecture. I know that it's a lot of materials that I've covered. However, I encourage you to review all of the materials that I have presented until you are sure that you have mastered everything. It is also highly recommended that you buy a Cantonese study guide or textbook to work alongside with this course to optimize your time in learning this language. And if you wanted to support us, please buy it from our Amazon storefront in our website. It is of no extra cost to you. However, part of the money would be sent to us as commissions, and in which those money we could use it to create and support us to for creating more materials for you guys. Now Also, if you are ready in mastering this course and you know for sure that you know everything, we also have a quiz for you. If you are viewing this on the website or in our mobile app, you can see it in the description of the video in the app or in the website of which you're viewing this video right now. Or if you are viewing this from YouTube, I've also included the link to our quiz in the YouTube description found below. I hope you do well, and I hope you could master this language. Thank you for looking at this course, and have yourself a great day.